So, a lot of people have been looking at my lineups for my teams that I've been doing on these preview videos and saying, you've totally destroyed your argument by. Sven Andrighetto played really well top 6 minutes in Colorado towards the end of the year. Good for him. Traditionally in the NHL, he hasn't been a top 6 forward to this point. I'm not projecting him there. I have a rule that's at about the 25 game mark. If a guy's played 25 games or less with the team that he's on in the previous season, I'm going to look at the body of work he's performed throughout his career and assume he's more likely to fall back to the Lee Stempniak rule than the way he performed after the deadline. Now, yes, Islanders fans are talking about this is going to be the first line. Okay? So let's discuss this for a minute. Let's just discuss this for a minute. Because it's worthy of looking at. Let me just get a couple of numbers and I'll come right back. Alright, the numbers are in. Check it out, boys and girls. Bailey scored more points than Eberle. And before anybody says, well, of course, Bailey played with Tavares last year. Exactly. Eberle played his way out of Edmonton. He had 20 goals. He got there very, very tail end of the season. He was lucky to get it. He was invisible for a lot of the season, and he was invisible in the playoffs. That's why he's not an Oiler anymore. Josh Bailey, 56 points, only 13 of them are goals. Which means 43 assists. Tavares, 66 points. Anders Lee, 34 goals. Ladd, 23 goals. Nelson, 45 points. 20 of those are goals. Saying that Bailey is a better forward than Eberle right now isn't as crazy as it sounds. Islanders fans are going to be excited about Eberle. We got Eberle for Ryan Strome. There's a reason that all it cost was Ryan Strome. Eberle's a nice guy. And Oilers fans will say he's a nice guy. And they want the best for him, I'm sure. But I haven't heard anybody complaining a lot about them losing Eberle, like last summer when they lost Taylor Hall. Eberle is not a guy who puts up first line points at this stage of his career. Okay, so I've loaded up Eberle's stats. He went from 28 goals and 65 points in 2014 to 24 goals, 39 points in 2015. He missed 13 games and had 47 points with 25 goals in 2016, and then he had 51 points in 82 games this past season. So he has steadily been coming down in terms of his offensive production for the last 4 years. He will get a bump by playing with the Islanders. But to say, oh, he'll get first line minutes with Tavares, I wouldn't think that would be necessarily a good idea. Because Eberle, to this point in his career, he hasn't shown that he is that elite forward that he was projected to be early on. I think the expectations were too high. I think when the Oilers had that young core that had Hall and Eberle and Nugent Hopkins and everybody was all excited, I think too much pressure was put on that core. And they weren't able to get it done. So now Eberle becomes an issue for the Islanders. And for me, it's a matter of, we already know that Bailey, with his 56 points last season, plays really well with Tavares. 56 points in today's NHL is what, a $5.5 million contract? I'm absolutely dead serious. Look how much money players are getting paid who scored 60 points this past season, and tell me Bailey doesn't get a major raise based on his current stats. It's easy to forget, and it's easy to say, well, it was a career year. Right, but Bailey's points have been going up, Eberle's have been going down. Now, in terms of the Colorado argument, there's the projected depth chart for the Avalanche on the right wing. Here's the thing. Here's the truth about hockey rosters in general. You've got your center, you got your left wing, you got your 1 through 4, your number 1's a star center, your number 2 is either a good two-way center or a shutdown center. Your third liner is probably a shutdown center too, and your number 4 guy just suffocates the game. Now, if you have a skill team, your number 1 is a solid scoring center. Your number 2 is a solid scoring center as well. Your number 3 is your shutdown guy, and your number 4 is potentially. So, with what Colorado's got right now, I'm going to put this under the left wing, but don't get mad at me. It's just I left myself no room under center. I honestly think if Jost makes the team, he should be third line. But they're not paying Soderberg the money to be a fourth line center. So to start the season, Soderberg probably plays third line. Jost outplays him and moves past him. If Tyson Jost is able to adjust to the NHL game, he can move past Duchesne. Duchesne's coming off of a terrible season. But the honest truth is, and I've watched a lot of hockey games for a lot of years, wingers change almost every game. How many times have we seen, we'll watch TSN, ESPN, Sportsnet, and we hear, so the Leafs tonight are skating, they've got Matthews playing with Zach Hyman tonight. He's been having some issues with his wingers, they're trying to get him going, and he's going to be playing with Zach tonight. Look for, if that doesn't work, he may end up with Mitch Marner on his right side. Mike Babcock's playing this rather close to the vest, but that appears to be what's happening according to practice this morning. The Sedins played well last night with Marcus Granlund, but it appears that they're playing with Michael Chaput because Willie Desjardins is drunk. This is just the way hockey works. Lineups change all the time. That's why I'm not sweating the lineups. I'm telling you guys, I'm not. I'm mind blown. Like, I look at the lineup and go, okay, this is probably how it's gonna go. Like when I see Colin Wilson on this chart below Blake Como, I go, no. If anything's gonna happen for the Avalanche, Colin Wilson has to play more minutes than Blake Como. Como is, you know, he's a serviceable forward, but Colin Wilson is unrealized potential that in a new location, maybe he finally gets it. So, yeah, I mean, I take this information from other websites, but when people say, well, he's not really working on it, he's just copying these websites. No. I write stuff down, I look at the screen, and then I go, no, and I move guys around. But it's just with the idea of opening night. It's like, last year I did opening night rosters for all 30 teams, and it was a nightmare. Because I had all kinds of people saying, this guy isn't going to play there this year. And I went, wait a minute. I'm not saying they're playing there all year. They're playing the first 9 games, maybe, 15 games. And then they'll get sent back down. I'm not doing that this year. This year I'm just going, this is the lineup, probably. I don't, because lines are so fluid in the NHL. You look at, like, Philly, Legion of Doom line. How long was that line together? 3 years? 3.5? And that's one of the most recognizable lines in hockey. Out here in Vancouver, the West Coast Express. I always hear Canucks fans like, I miss the West Coast Express days. I'm thinking, really? They lasted about 6 months as the best line in hockey. Outside of that, they were iffy. And every time Mark Crawford or Vigneault, anybody would try putting them back together. I'm trying to remember if Vigneault was here then. I don't think so. I think it was just Mark Crawford. The point is, anytime a coach would try putting them back together, it didn't work. In terms of forwards, your amount of chemistry is going to change from game to game. And defense, I'm going to tell you guys right now, when I'm writing down the D-men, I look who's left side, who's right side. The Islanders' depth chart's a good example of that. I got Pulock in top 4 because he's a right-handed shot. The Islanders are just replete with left-handed shots. They're full of left-handed shots. There's left-handed shots coming out their ears. They need a right-handed shot on the blue line. Pulock has to be top 4. This is the stuff I'm looking at. Right now I'm looking at, this is the Avalanche again. So left-handed shot, Barberio. Right-handed shot, Johnson. Yeah, they got Barberio in the top 2. That's why I put Zadorov in there instead, because I really can't see Barberio playing top 2 minutes. And he played less time last year than Zadorov, so I moved Zadorov up to top 2. Barry's a right-handed shot. Left-handed shot, Siemens. Left-handed shot, Lindholm. So I went, all right, well, those are 2 left-handed shots. Is there a right-handed shot in the minors? And there's Milosh. So that's why I said they really need Milosh to step it up, because they need another right-handed shot on the blue line. How many times have we heard, in regards to Shattenkirk, he's a right-handed shot on the blue line. Those guys are worth a fortune. Why are the Canucks trying to charge a mint for Chris Tanev? Good right-handed defenseman. So yeah, when I do these depth charts, I don't put a lot of stock into who's on what line because it changes all year. Even Josh Bailey with the Islanders, he played 81% of his shifts with Tavares 5-on-5, which means the other 20% he was with probably Brock Nelson. It's just the nature of the beast. These lines are fluid. The idea that, oh, these lines are set in stone is just crap. Because I guarantee, even if Eberle's on that first line with Tavares, they're -3 after the first game of the year. They're -2 as, you know, both of them are -2 after game 2 of the year. So they're a combined -10. Doug Waite's splitting them up. So the idea that, okay, this guy's coming in to play with this guy, it just reminds me of the Devils. Oh, Adam Hall, not Adam Hall. He was not an offensive force. Taylor Hall going to New Jersey. He's going to play with Henrique. And I was like, well, if he has chemistry with Henrique. This was me last summer. People were like, oh, him and Henrique had great chemistry together before they were in the NHL. You're crazy. This is just going to be great. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, I guess so. Yeah, hopefully, maybe they're right. Maybe. I'm not doing that this summer. I'm not doing it this summer. I'm going to go with my gut. And my gut last summer was, well, yeah, Henrique, whatever. It's like when Canucks fans said, oh, signing Louis Eriksson makes great sense because he plays so well with the Sedins in international hockey. And I'm like, but that's international hockey. It's not the NHL. It's not an 82-game grind. That's why I have my charts the way they are. And when I show 4 goalies on a depth chart instead of 3, it means, look at number 4. I kind of want to see him do something. When I make a big deal about who number 3 is, it means 2 things. Either I like the 3rd goalie, which is the case with the Islanders, or this team's in deep, deep trouble if something happens to that top goaltender, which is the case with a few teams, actually. So I only have 6 of these left. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea for what I'm thinking when I put these things together. I don't just throw crap on a board and then go, all right, let's do this. I think about hockey all day. Every day. There's a maximum amount of time for hockey, and then, of course, there's the whole, oh, well, I'm married, I should think about my wife. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, Yvonne and the kids are first, the hockey's second, but there's nothing third. I'm now a month and a half behind on Twin Peaks. I still haven't watched the rest of the second half of the season of Doctor Who. I have no idea what's going on with Orphan Black. I haven't watched a single episode of it, partly because I'm still doing videos for you guys to do with hockey. I'm still thinking about this when I'm supposed to be catching up on TV like I did last summer. When I got into Orphan Black and got addicted to it. These charts, it's a funny thing because, no, I don't mean them being gospel, but yes, I do put some thought into what I put on the board. And when I have Jordan Eberle not playing with John Tavares, it's my way of saying, hey, I know Islanders fans are excited about Eberle, but there's a reason the Oilers traded him. And I'd be remiss in being unbiased to not acknowledge that and take that into consideration when I'm putting a lineup on the board. Where I say, I don't know about Eberle with Tavares, man. And I don't want to hear about anything they did in an international game or another tournament or a minor league anything. Because none of that matters at an NHL level over an 82-game grind. It doesn't matter. I think that's why ultimately Vegas, while they had Shipachev, I think that's why they didn't end up with Dadonov. Because I doubt they pursued him as hard as Florida did. Because maybe in the midst of everything George McPhee said, there's no guarantee that Shipachev and Dadonov will have chemistry at an NHL level right now. So I'll take Shipachev for $4.5 million, and I'll back off on Dadonov. We'll see what he does during the season. Maybe I can pick him up for cheap at the deadline if he doesn't work out wherever he ends up. So there you go. Hopefully this explains things a little bit. I'm not mad, and I know I may sound mad. I'm not mad. I don't know if I'm necessarily explaining things properly when I do these videos, because if I explain everything in depth, they're going to be 30 minutes each. So that's an hour a day on preview videos. And the longer these videos get, the more issue I'm going to have with people wanting to watch them, and with me having any semblance of a weekend outside of this webcam and talking to you fine people. So there's got to be a balance. So I just throw my lineup up and I go, all right. I had made my decisions on who was going to finish where a few weeks ago, and I looked at lineups and I figured stuff out. And now it's a combination of what I've got on the board, what I've decided, and then going, okay, how does this fit into that picture? And I have made changes to where teams are going to finish as I've gone along in this series, because I've gone, no, they're not going to miss the playoffs. Yeah, they're going to miss the playoffs. A couple teams I've done that with. You know, and this is one of those things that evolves, but lineups evolve too. Lineups are evolving all year. So, yeah, it's great if certain players have chemistry with each other at another level, but until it happens in the NHL, and until it happens for more than 25 games, I take it all with a grain of salt. Because I remember David Booth coming over from Florida, and at the beginning it looked like he was going to be really good for the Canucks, and then it just sort of fell off the map. It was Booth, I believe it was Booth, Kessler, and Raymond was the American Express line. And there was a belief at the time that this was the one that was going to get us through. I believe that was the Amex line. Somebody will correct me in the comment section below. But that was a line that was going to be great. And then it just didn't happen. No, Higgins, Kessler, and Mason Raymond. Or was it Booth? Somebody's going to correct me. It may have been, it was either Raymond or Booth. But I know it was a line that everybody said, oh, this is going to be great. We finally got a line to go with the Sedins and Burrows. And then it didn't work for very long. It looked great for about 20 games, and then it just kind of petered out. And every now and then, they'd try putting that line back together, and it wouldn't work. So, again, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your input. This video is because of your input. I'm just trying to explain my point of view. I totally understand why other people feel the other way. And this is why it gets fun, because I make my predictions, you guys make yours, and then as the season goes along, you guys can have bragging rights and say, hey, I was right, the hockey guy was wrong. Or I can say, well, there it is. Because I will not brag this year. That is a promise I'm making to you guys. No bragging this year. Somebody also asked me why Chris Bigra wasn't on my lineup card for Colorado. I'm going to quickly explain that. Very quickly explain that. And I apologize for Barbario being on this list. But it's going to explain itself pretty quick here. I also apologize for Duncan Siemens being on this list. I don't know that he necessarily makes the team. Lindholm will, though. Because Colorado needs a feel-good story. Well, there's Mironov. He's another one that could make it. And there's Big Rock. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left-handed defensemen. So he could make it. He's got to beat out 3 of those guys. Because I would think 4 and 2 should be the way they go. At worst, 4 and 2. You can't have 5 left-handed defensemen on your team, can you? Holy crap. I know the team isn't that great, but you've got to have right-handed shots. And again, let me know what you guys think. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome. And let's tango. We'll just forget about the word that's at the bottom of the shirt, because it's not important. I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, actually, because now for the rest of what's left of tonight, I'm going to hang out with Yvonne and see if she can fall asleep watching another movie. We tried watching a movie earlier, and she just fell asleep right away, and it was Tombstone. How do you fall asleep at the start of Tombstone? Tombstone is awesome. Yeah, she hates Westerns, but Tombstone is awesome. Talk about how awesome Tombstone is in the comments below. I'll show them to her in the morning. Tombstone is great.